Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here by my good friend Dusty, also known as Echo Chips, for another segment and get to know that cosplayer. You may remember, Dusty, when I think I had you on for the RCC recap.
I did, yeah, I was here for that.
Yeah, when we had you on for the RCC recap, last year actually that was. And I see today you're cosplaying as Bulma Brevis.
Briefs, yep.
Breves. I thought it was Brevis for some reason.
You might be right.
Well, and you're cosplaying the good version, not the live action one we don't discuss.
I like this version. I've cosplayed a couple of her different outfits, and honestly, I just think this one looks really nice. And I was one of the parts in the show that I was really connected to Bulma, and I thought she was doing some cool stuff at that point. So
Now all you just need to do is cosplay her her yellow vest that she wears when they go to Namek.
there's a whole bunch of cosplays of her that I
She
want.
has a I mean, to kind of talk about cosplays. She has a lot of outfits from her Playboy Bunny one to the one she wears when they go to that town to fight Pilaf. Her dress she wears in the Battle of the Gods when she turns 40.
I think the only one I don't plan to do is her underwear and a bra that she's where she's on the spaceship when they're going to Namek. But I do want to do the one where she's got the afro and the red dress, and I really like the red bomber jacket version when she's a little younger. And then there's also I have a figure of it up here that's her like the bomber jacket version, but it's like the alternate color palette where she's got like the purple hair. I've considered doing that one too, but I don't know how recognizable it would be.
I forgot she did a blue-haired Afro version, which I'm not gonna bring in logic of how she had her hair look like that.
Perms are a thing.
Well, that's a big ass perm. Let me get this started. So, to begin, because I know we have to redo this. Um, how long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you into cosplay?
I've been cosplaying probably since about 2009 or so, and it was just kind of something that my friends and I, being into the anime fandom back then, was just kind of really niche. And we liked to play dress up, and cosplay and dress up just kind of have an overlap. And so I think that it turned from what am I going to be for Halloween to I can do this every day. And so, a couple of my good friends, Bernard Kale Cosplay and Mo Maple, had both kind of gotten into some anime stuff, and I think just as a trio we really dove into it because it was something that we all shared and really enjoyed.
So you said you've been cosplaying since 2009, right?
Yep, long time. I'm an old person.
You've been cosplaying for 15 years, so you're in that category as I call a cosplay veteran. Actually started cosplaying when it was becoming more mainstream here in the States when people like Yaya Han, Jessica Nigri, and all of them were making a full-blown career out of it.
Yeah, they had just kind of started and become really popular, and I was like, oh wow, people take this seriously. And I think at that point, because we were just in high school, we weren't really taking it seriously, and I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was kind of doing it just because I loved feeling like a part of the fandom and going out to these events and dressing up and getting into character, and I guess also just having kind of an escape from reality.
I mean, cosplaying, when you go to cosplaying conventions, it's just basically like Halloween every year if you can afford it.
Yeah, totally.
But I feel like on Halloween, you don't want to do what you do for cons. So you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna do something not as huge for
Yeah,
Halloween.
totally. I think nowadays Halloween kind of falls by the wayside, or I do some sort of a closet look or something really meme centric. I'm not generally focusing on cosplay. I'm focusing on silly stuff. So I think this year I dressed up as a hot dog. So
uh, so you started cosplaying and going. So did you also go to cons back in 2009?
yeah, I think my very first one might have been 2010. I think we were kind of dabbling with walking around the neighborhood in costumes and taking some pictures. And then I think the following year, I got to go to KomoriCon for my very first convention, which was like kind of a big deal
Nice.
because KomoriCon, even back then, was quite a bigger event. And so I guess I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I always had a lot of fun. And for the, next few years, I always tried to be there if I could make it. I think I probably missed a few in between. And I've gone just about every year that I've lived in Oregon since then. So
It's basically as I say, and I think most people will agree on this. It's your home con.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
it's
That's
a
that's
con
exactly
like
what I
you
consider it.
save it's a con you save up for to go to because it's.
Buy the tickets on the last day because you know you're going to be there anyway. So you might as well get the discount.
I mean, from my experience, Komoricon is fun
It was a
for
lot of fun.
oh no, definitely. Um So I've asked this before for people who've gone to Komoricon for a long time. What was it like for you and you and the gang to go to Kumo back in 2010, especially since again, cosplay was like it was a thing here in the States, but I feel like because of shows like Heroes of Cosplay and all those shows like on sci-fi kind of like made it normal, I guess,
I
ish.
think definitely in the last like 10 to 15 years, we have seen kind of cosplay become more mainstream and like anime culture become more mainstream. And you're going to see a lot more like Hot Topic transitioning into that like lunchbox, bento box thing that
I mean, they don't call it
they
Hot Topic for a reason. It's basically what the Hot Topic is.
for sure. And so, I mean, I love to see that. And sometimes I kind of get that crotchety old, like old person thing where I'm like, back in my day, like
We had to go on
we didn't have Pokemon
we
stocks
had
in
to go
stores.
on we
Like,
had to go on websites to watch a 5 minute video of Dragon Ball, or we
yeah,
had to make sure we ordered the right size wig from this Japanese website
because
and
it was
make
going
sure
to take
that
3 months. Yeah. Totally. Like wigs weren't on Amazon, things like that. So I think there's definitely like an ease of access that has happened alongside like Japanese culture and anime, which I love because now it's like I can get my wigs off Amazon, which is super cool.
or Etsy if you
Um,
want to spend like the 200-300 bucks.
yeah, I got this wig Amazon special, just styled it when I got here. So
Very fancy. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Cosplay and conventions have definitely changed. Like, you see people who like would make fun of you for liking this stuff back then. You see them going like, "Why? What?" Ah.
yep, I love it. It's great. And like especially KomoriCon, but a lot of conventions have always been like it's just the community and like being around your people, feels so great.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, but I think we can agree, and I don't mean to get any hate for this. Even like people in this community can be very toxic.
canceled. No.
You are banned.
Yeah,
No,
for
but
sure.
and I'm sure you can agree with that. You've seen, and I don't think it's something I brought up in a while, but I'm sure you've seen your fair share of toxicity in the community,
Totally.
whether it's on social media or even at a convention. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of it.
I think just like with any community, there's going to be some outliers and even people that, aren't necessarily trying to be hurtful, but definitely I've experienced it. In that year that I was there, 2010 or so, I cosplayed Misty and it was like totally a closet cosplay. And I like clipped my real hair up into like a weird little like side thing.
Like how she does in the anime.
And I wore like black Converse because I was like, I was in like sophomore year of high school and I just couldn't afford to buy like $40 red Converse. And some other cosplayer stopped me and said, Misty wears red shoes. And I was like, oh, and as like a little kid, I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't afford better shoes. Like I think I said that. And like, I think the person like felt bad afterwards and was like, oh, I did not mean to like shame you, little child, but just it's
I
something
mean,
my friends joke about all the time when we're getting into cosplay or we're doing cosplay and something's not like quite right. It's kind of become a like, well, Misty wears red shoes, and we all are like, we know that we
hell,
don't, but it's funny to laugh
I've seen a Princess Peach cosplay wear Crocs.
at. Exactly.
I mean,
Honestly,
you didn't see it because the dress is so like, you know,
comfort is key. Let's be honest here.
oh no, and we'll get into that. So as I always ask in these segments, I've done so many of these over the past few years. I gotta count how many I've done. Um, so A question I always ask, and I'm sure you're familiar with it by now. It's always a two-part question. Advice for non-cosplayers going to a convention versus cosplayers going to their first convention. So, what
Uh,
advice would you want to give for non-cosplayers who want to go to their first convention?
I mean, I think that that's totally fine. Wear what's comfortable to you. My significant other usually wears like some sort of a nerdy t-shirt and like his normal pants, and that's just what he feels comfortable in. And sometimes I can goad him into cosplaying with me, but whatever you're comfortable in, I think is totally fine. And of course, as long as you're keeping up with the dress code. And something that I always recommend, whether you're cosplaying or not cosplaying, is just to be really mindful of your energy levels and to get good sleep and to get good um,
Energy drinks don't count as sustenance.
no, I agree. Yeah, water, liquid water is really helpful. Cleanliness for everybody, I think, is really important just because you're in a space that you're sharing with other people. And I think that something that I really find is super important is just to be mindful of your space and the space around you and the people that are around you, and to just be, conscientious of that you want to enjoy this convention and this space and this environment, and you want other people to enjoy the convention and the space and the environment. So that would be my suggestion for both cosplayers and non-cosplayers. And then for new cosplayers, when you're coming in, one of my big things that I think no one ever told me when I was younger is that it's okay to rewear a cosplay. Like, if you want to go and you've got your cosplay that you worked really hard on and you're going to wear it all 3 days, slap some spray Febreze in there and put some deodorant on and make sure you shower every day. That's okay. Like, you can still do that. And if you want to wear a cosplay and then go to a convention and wear that same cosplay at another convention, that is also okay. I think that there's a big stigma around, like, just like, the stigma around ladies with dresses, like, oh, I wore that for an event, so I can't wear it again. Like, no, wear it. You worked so hard
I I
on it. Show
I
everybody twice.
I think why people get sort of anal about that is especially when it comes to competitions like that say like, a person wore it once and they won and then they wear it to another,
Oh,
I'm not.
totally. I mean, I'm not telling you to go sweep a competition with the same cosplay every time or anything. Like, if you win with that cosplay got its gold ribbon. That's my perspective
Now
on it.
just
That's okay.
um but yeah, no, I agree. There's nothing wrong with and wearing the same cosplay to a con. I mean, I've seen people like at Komori wear like the same cosplay for all 3 days or 2 days, it's
Yeah, I get it, fam.
if like you either can't afford it or you weren't able to get that one cosplay done, there's nothing wrong with it. And well, again, we'll get into that with more like in the cosplay aspect. Um, another question. Um, do you deem it wise for someone's going to their first con or just in general that they should have a set budget?
Oh, absolutely. I fail at that generally at every convention, but I do think that it's really important to, I mean, just be responsible with yourself and your spending. And for me, I guess setting an overall budget is not super helpful for me, but setting like a spending limit for different portions, I guess. I don't do well with an overall budget because then that becomes my merch budget and then I still have to buy gas and food. So I need to usually like section out and plan ahead, like for my meals. And a lot of times I'll pack ahead for meals, just because I'm not super great with budgeting. So I eat a lot of ramen and like sandwiches at conventions, which is cool.
There's nothing wrong with that. Wait a minute. Difficulties. Here we go. I'm gonna have to edit all of this shit out. Yeah, okay. All right. No, 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 screw it. Anyway, um, yeah, no, I'm sure having a budget is a good thing, whether it's for merch, for food, in my case. If you can remember, like, what's the most expensive thing you spent at a con?
Oh gosh. Like the most expensive single item. I have a, mm, I have a couple that are probably like right around the like $200-300 limit that I can like spot it. So I have like a full size Buster sword that hangs on my wall. It's got like materia slots and stuff. That's in the living room though. That was like a couple $100. And then I've got this really great. I don't know if I should take her down because I'm not sure if she's family friendly. Rias Gremory from High School DxD. If she's
No, 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 no,
couple
no.
outfits. She's covered. She has her gummy G string on, but
Mm,
she was a pretty penny, but totally worth it. I love her very
I
much.
mean, any anime waifu is gonna be statue is gonna be expensive no matter
Yeah,
what.
I do really like her. And, it's, but honestly, I think that for me, it's supporting a lot of little artists that I really enjoy. Like, I'll go and buy, like, a $10 thing from 10 artists. And then I'm like, where'd my budget go? But I love to support so many people that I follow. And I love to see, like, more niche content. I got a keychain from an artist at KomoriCon this year of a couple of Hunter x Hunter characters that I think are, like, pretty niche that I really, really adore. So, I love to find that kind of stuff. And then there's a couple of characters that I collect that I don't generally find from Artist Alley and like merch tables. So when I do find them, I'm like, yes.
And see, there's other. I feel like it's good to support your local artists at conventions because there are those times where an artist will like pay for the booth. Well, they'll pay an arm and a leg for the booth,
Oh, absolutely. And travel and food, like generally just talking from my experience, you
and then
break
like
even at like a big
and
event.
they make like they make barely to cover the cost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if I break even at the end of something like that, I'm feeling jazzed, like if I made enough to pay for my food and my room.
It just doesn't help that when a cosplayer, not a cosplayers, but a booth is like so like at the ass end of a con and no one knows where it's at.
It is hard. And you know what? Different conventions do a like different level of a good job at promoting and at making those maps and things like that. So, um, like something that I always recommend if you are looking into getting into like vending or having your art at an event is to go attend that event ahead of time and just kind of see what that looks like. Maybe talk to somebody that you connect with while you're walking around, maybe another artist that's there, and just say, hey, what was your experience with this? Like, would you
That's
recommend it to someone starting out? So
that's not a that's honestly not a bad idea. Go before you decide to vend at a
most people
con.
are friendly. They do want to talk to you at least a little bit.
I mean, from my experience, talking to vendors and artists has been a good thing. But I honestly, that's some good advice, honestly. If you're gonna think about vending or vending for the first time at a con, go to that con prior, and like you said, ask around. And
Scope it out.
if
Maybe
the
not on the last hour of the last day.
no, like I feel like day one or day two when
Yeah, when
everyone's
the
well, I
artist
don't know
still have
about
a
day
little bit of,
one. I don't know about day one, honestly, but like
yeah. Yeah, you
if
could get some different answers, definitely. But
but if like a good chunk of them are genuinely positive, then save the money. Sometimes there are cons that will provide the stuff for you. You just have to pay for the space. But I guess now kind of might as well talk about it. What's been your experience like vending at conventions from like small ones to big ones? Because I know you've vended at quite a bit of different ones around between here, California, and Washington.
yeah, I haven't personally vended outside of Oregon right now, but with our group, the Crafts Pajamas, myself, Mo Maple, and Bernard Kill Cosplay, we have vended quite a few Oregon events from KomoriCon Light to like Anna Medford down here. And I always really enjoy it. I love the con space, so any excuse for me to be there and to be hanging out with people and to be engaging with other people that are like-minded and share interests that I have, I'm there. I'm game for it. So I've had a pretty good experience. I think generally, like I said, it's nice to go scope the event out first and kind of know what the market is going to be like. For instance, we vend Metal Art Comic Con and Rogue Comic Con, as well as a couple of different anime centric events, and it is really different. You kind of have to tailor your merch and you have to kind of know going into it that you might not do as well at one event as another. But for me, I'm really there to break even and have a good time with my buddies. So generally, my experience has been that it's not going to pay the bills. We work really hard to sew a lot of the stuff that we sell, and usually it pays for the booth cost, the gas cost, and like Red Robin at the end. But we always have fun,
Got to do Red Robin this year after con for sure.
Totally, definitely. And we really enjoy it, and I think it's really nice that a lot of events will provide you for your booth cost, because obviously there is usually a $100 plus booth cost at most of these events, but that generally also gets you admission to the event, which is really nice for our three buddies. If we're going to be there all day, we might as well have something to do all day and share all the stuff we
Hell,
create.
I think it was Animedford last year, and I think Metal Art prior to that. You were both a cosplay guest and also going back between your booth to make sure it's doing okay.
Yeah, for Animedford this year, I was a cosplay guest one day, and then for the second day, I just kind of focused on helping out with our booth. We didn't have all of the members that we usually do to to watch the booth and to sell things, so it was just kind of something where I needed to be a part of that, and to be able to pull my weight essentially in our booth and stuff. And we had signed up for like to run the crafts pajamas booth like well in advance of starting to talk about cosplay guesting. And so I just was like, well, here's what I can
I
do, and
mean,
I'll
plus
be there one day.
you and your guys are like returning favorites of both Dave and Marina, so you
Oh,
know.
I love being an animatrix and metal Metalurg. So anytime they want me there, I'm there. Like, let me know.
So this actually brings me to a question. I know I kind of gave you a little nudge at the door to ask them. How was it being a cosplay guest and also being a contest host back in 2022?
It was a lot of fun. I think that get a little bit of like nerves and stuff ahead of time, so that was definitely a hurdle for me. But I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed hosting that Halloween trivia event that they did at Animedford 2022, and just generally anything where I get to go and be a part of that, like I don't know, energy that surrounds the
Mm,
convention space. I am totally game for it. And just being able to provide, what little assistance I did to the convention to make it an enjoyable experience for people. Like I'm so proud to be able to do that. So a lot of fun.
is this something you consider doing again in the future for a con?
Oh,
If given the
absolutely.
um now, what kind of advice would you want to give to someone who wants to be a cosplay guest and or also, host an event like you did?
I would say definitely just kind of put yourself out there. For me, it was a matter of seeing a post from you or seeing a post from the convention saying like, "Hey, we're looking for people like this," and just
A little bit of a
putting
nudge.
together, like basically a resume and saying, "Hi, this is me, and this is what I do, and I'd like to do it to help you guys out."
Plus, I know they're always from experience for, technically, I guess you can say technically we both work for the con in a sense.
Yes,
But
I'll
like
take it.
from an experience, it's definitely worth it hosting, hosting a cosplay contest or being a guest judge of sorts.
Totally. And
Because
honestly, anywhere that I can volunteer my time that's going to be, have a positive impact on the community, I'm there for it. Give me a call.
oh yeah, no. So now, with it being the 2024 season and it's just beginning, what aside from like the regulars normally do, what other cons do you plan on going to this year? And what is that one dream con you would love to go to?
This year I'm going to go to SoccerCon for the first time, which is sounding really cool. I'm excited for that coming up in the next like what month or so, which is
It's coming back. It's
I
coming
know
fast.
it's really sneaking up. I had planned to attend Fan Expo this last month, and I ended up not
Mm.
being able to make it to that.
Well, I mean, you probably did the right thing. I'm not bashing the con, but the roads, like, I commend anyone who went to that con. I feel bad for those who were stuck up there
Yeah,
too.
I actually crashed my car on the way to that con, so it was a bummer
Oh, so
overall.
you were gonna go, but then oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
I
that's
made
what
it
that.
like 2 hours up, and then I totaled my car.
Well,
So
I mean, I think some advice as well, real quick, and I'm sure you can agree, and I'll let you go on this. Check the weather for
yeah, and
cons.
I mean, I felt really confident in being able to get up there, and it was just raining when I went. Unfortunate circumstances for sure. I like hydroplaned, so that was a bummer. But yeah, definitely a lot of people got stuck up there because of the snow. And I know for myself personally, I had a place to stay and I would have been like safe if I would have got up there. But definitely it's something like just with any long trip or any trip where you're leaving the general vicinity of where you live, make sure you're well prepared for it. I was toting sleeping bags and all that other good stuff in case we did break down or get stuck in the snow. But was not prepared to total my car.
I don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
be safe.
it's just. I mean, it especially sucks when you're wanting to go to a con like in during the winter.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to miss C3 Con this month, which I had planned to go to. That was on my list. I will probably be going to Rogue Comic Con. I bought my tickets for that already this year, so I
Road Comic Con is free.
or I'm sorry, Rose City Comic Con.
Oh, no, say.
Other R Comic Con, yeah, I plan to go to Rogue. I plan to go to Rogue Comic Con too. I'll be at that. If they bring Klamath Falls Community College Comic Con back, I'll be going to that.
I don't know on that one
Yeah, they
how
haven't
things
announced yet, but we're waiting.
from how things went. I don't know if they'll bring it back, but
I agree.
I heard rumors that someone else may be picking it up.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is
Well, we'll see. Because I'll be there.
that is all I know. All I know is rumors.
And then I plan to be at the Beaver State Comic Con. I'm considering applying to vend at SAC Anime this year, SAC Anime Summer. But that one is, from what I understand, is a lottery. So I'm not sure. It'll be kind of a
Well,
rough
yeah,
race.
from experience going back in 2019, the vendors hall, and this is my one F word, gets fucking packed.
Yeah, it was big. It was really big. It was definitely a
It's
convention that was centered around
it's
selling
bigger than
anime.
it's almost I think at least slightly bigger, roughly the same size as well as Kumo's. Well,
Say it was quite that big, but I would definitely say comparable. But yeah,
mm.
definitely really, really big.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah. The other questions I forgot. The buddy system. What are your thoughts on the buddy system when going to a con, whether it's your first time or going to a con you've never gone to before, just in general? I forgot about the exit buddy system. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I am a really social person, so generally, if I'm going to an event, I probably have a few people around me anyway. But definitely, I think that it's a good idea to at least have a safe place to go back to, whether that's like a hotel room that's like within walking distance, or like to have a second person with you. I've done cons both ways, where I've been predominantly alone and also with groups. Of course, they're way more fun in a group, or more fun with your friends, and more fun to be, um, I guess, just a little bit more carefree, and you're able to do that when you feel a little bit safer. So having your cosplay buddies around you is pretty
Oh
important.
yeah, no. Just
But you can have a good time both ways, and you can make new friends both ways. And I think that just like in any large social situation, it's about setting your boundaries and making sure that you're comfortable in all the situations that you're in. And for me, being like an older cosplayer, like I'm going on 30 this year.
oh my God, you're old.
I know.
Old!
So old.
Old!
It's
Old!
sometimes hard to know how old somebody is, but you can like look at someone's badge, or just kind of be mindful that you want to keep most of your comments and most of your, excuse me, topics and things like that fairly family friendly, because apart from some convention spaces that I've been to, or after hours type event
Mm.
things, you are going to be around younger audiences, so you just kind of want to keep in mind that it's a space for all ages.
Oh yeah, no, like during the day you're gonna see families, and then like after like I think 8 o'clock, pinning on like when they said, "All right, everyone,
Yeah, adults only, or
this is like the
16 plus,
18
or whatever they say.
18 plus.
Yeah.
Everyone can come wearing their skimpy looking outfits or whatever. I mean, no
And that's
judge.
another thing. Like, most conventions are going to have a general dress code, but I think that there's kind of a being like, don't push the envelope with that and be like, oh,
Oh,
dress
I
code
mean
says.
during the day, from what I've seen at some cons, I'm like,
Yeah.
no judgy, but
It's
like
kind of
just
like, wow, look at the sun. Like,
oh, look, is that a butterfly? I mean, I'm not judging, just
each their own. Yeah,
just be
totally. That's
mindful
my
that
thought.
there are going to be families and little children, and I don't think parents want their kids
And
exposed
on
to
top of
seeing
that, I
a,
mean, even
you
if they are
know,
18 or like older than that, just like making sure that your audience and the people around you are comfortable. Because just if some guy is 25 or something, doesn't mean he feels particularly comfortable with, you know, everyone hanging out. So I think
no.
just being mindful of everyone, regardless of age, and just being courteous is really important for everyone to have a good time and to be comfortable in the space.
I mean, that's why I think it's nice when cons do have that 18 and over after hours thing, like the
Yeah.
18 lip sync, the lingerie show, whatever.
Yeah, and then that's your audience, and you can go enjoy it. I really enjoyed this year. I went to a burlesque show. I think it was at SAC Anime Summer, and it was really, really fun. It was really cool. I know they talked about doing a drag thing for KomoriCon this year, and I think it just didn't quite get enough traction to happen. But Rock'em Sakura, I think they
Uh,
were talking about possibly bringing it
yeah,
back.
Rock and Sakura, great
Yeah,
person, honestly,
yeah,
lovely
super cool.
person.
So I'm looking forward to hopefully that manifesting this year from everybody, hopefully writing in their, their convention critique afterwards. Bring the drag show.
That'd be pretty nice. So so now, oh yeah, and also make sure if you're going to be with the group, make sure you find an area in the con that has decent cell service.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Or just what my friends and I do kind of is just to have a general meeting place. So if we do get separated and like let's say your phone dies or something like that, you can go back there and eventually your friends are going to notice that you're not around and they'll come find you. So and or bring your charger. Most convention spaces are going to have a whole lot of free wall outlets.
Oh yeah.
Take a break, eat your sandwich that you packed or whatever that you sustenance that you have in your bag, and just take a breather. And especially on like 3 day events, I think that I tend to really burn myself out on the first day.
Hmm.
It's like 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh, the con's over for the day.
Or if or if you're a certain someone who gets con crud and you're not feeling well, you have a friend who brings you brings you a cheese sandwich made with Tillamook cheese to a con for you.
Maybe.
Uh, so DreamCon, what's the DreamCon you want to go to? Like, it's a
Oh my
con
gosh,
that whether it's far away or it's just not in the budget right now, but
I
you would
already
love to.
know. It's
Is it
Fan Fest for Final Fantasy. I applied to go this year, and it's also a lottery thing. So you have to be actively playing the game with an active subscription and an active login. So you have to have played it
Oh,
recently.
so it's like San Diego Comic-Con basically.
Kind of, and then you have to, once you have done all of that, because they want to know that you are somebody that's enjoying it and not a scalper or something, then you can put an application in basically, and then they pull randomly to let you know whether you can buy the ticket. And then once you get pulled, you're able to buy up to 2 tickets, so
I
you can buy
mean,
for you and like your
that's
significant other. But it's just such a sought after con, and it rotates between North America, Japan, and Europe, I believe. And
checked. I mean, that checks out because Final Fantasy is like,
it's only
you're,
once every 3 years that they hold it in the U.S. And so
oh,
this last year, I think 2022 was when it was in Vegas. I applied for
it's
it. I did not get to go. I was so bummed, but yeah, that's a great con.
It's like Star Wars Fest,
So yeah, so
Star Wars
eventually I
Celebration.
hope to attend that convention, but it was not this last year for the
I
year before.
mean, I personally think the lottery systems. I think the reason why some cons do it, and I've come to understand it because a buddy and I were talking about this a while back about San Diego Comic Con. The reason why they do the lottery system is because they don't want a whole lot of people to
I
like
think they
be.
want to prevent scalpers too, and and even when they did have general sales, you would, immediately as soon as general sales went available, like they were gone within 2 seconds, and it was people, using their bots and things like that to be able to purchase their tickets, which is just out of my technical
I
realm.
paid $30 for this ticket. I'm gonna charge you 100.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, well the tickets were like
you.
250 or something like that, so it's like crazy.
I
But the
mean,
event is so cool. Someday
oh, I
that's
mean,
a dream con.
a Final Fantasy themed convention. I mean, hell,
Yeah, and it's
I
only specifically Final Fantasy 14, but they do some other stuff too.
well, I'm not big on 14, so
I
someone better
14.
not be upset if I'm gonna come as Sid Highwind or Orin.
Oh no, totally. My dream cosplay for that convention is Lulu from Final Fantasy X. So don't
She's going to be
worry.
a lot of work. Now on to cosplay stuff. Um, give me a minute. Advice for someone who wants to get into cosplay for the first time, especially if they're a cosplayer on a budget, or they see, cosplayers like Yaya Han and all them, and they think that's what cosplay is. So, advice you want to give for first-time cosplayers who are scared or are on a budget.
Oh man, you can cosplay with no wig, and you can cosplay with stuff out of your closet, and you can cosplay with, things from a thrift store. I thrifted this whole outfit almost completely. And I just did some alterations and things like that. I waver between making my cosplays and thrifting them. I probably am at about 50% thrifted cosplays and 50% made cosplays. And honestly, they're both totally acceptable. It's not really, and this is a big thing that I've only recently, in the last couple of years, come to accept for myself, is like, I'm not doing this to like put pictures on social media for other people. And I'd love to get people that are engaged and to love to see what I do, and same to engage with their posts to see what they do. But I just really had to decide that, I'm doing this because I love to do it. It makes me happy. It's something that I enjoy. And just kind of to put the thoughts about what other people are going to think about you aside. If you're able to do that, which I know is not the easiest thing for everybody, and for some people it might be why they got into it, and that's okay too. But just to, you don't have to be the most accurate cosplayer, and you don't have to have made all of your stuff, and you don't have to close all your seams and things like that. Like, I've got plenty of cosplays that you don't see some seams that aren't finished, and so I think that just kind of being comfortable doing is kind of what cosplay is about for me. So it's something that took me a while to get. So, also don't feel like if you're not at that point now that you can't cosplay.
Oh, I whole 100% agree on that. Like, there's nothing wrong with, thrifting, closet cosplays. I mean, look at almost 90 percent of your anime characters wear casual clothes. All you just have to do is buy a wig and bam, your casual Bakugo, your casual Naruto, or
Your L from Death
monkey.
Note.
Mo-
Totally. There's so many things that
oh
you
yeah, I
can
mean yeah, Death Note, white thermal sweater, blue jeans,
done.
black wig, eyeliner.
Yeah. Don't even brush your hair. No.
Uh, um, so and you make your cosplays. I remember we were talking about actually at Con in 2022 when I interviewed you there, we were talking about your Android 19, 20, no, 21.
21, yeah. Yeah, for that one, I styled the whole wig and I made like borderline all of it. I think that like the bra piece of that I purchased, but everything else was made by me. And I mean, it was a labor of love. I love that cosplay, and I think that even though that one doesn't have a whole lot of technical skill, I was really happy with how it came out, and I tried some different things. And every time I do a new cosplay, I like to try and do a little bit of a different stuff or try a different technique. And I think that's something that I enjoy about cosplay compared to some other crafts and things like that. Is I'm always going to be pushed to try new stuff and to watch a tutorial and to see how someone else did it, or even just to give it a shot and hope for the best.
So you make your own cosplays. Advice for those who want to make like advice for someone who wants to make their own cosplay for the first time. They don't want to have to buy, they don't want to have to thrift. They actually want to make a cosplay as their first cosplay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, patterns are your best friend. They're going to be really helpful to you. And even if you look at like a Joanne's pattern or a pattern off the internet and you say, that's not quite what her thing looks like or what their outfit looks like, um, but kind of having that as like a jumping off point or like a starting place is really helpful to me. Something else that I found to be really helpful, because I do a lot of my own pattern work, is to go to a thrift store or something like that and buy like a shirt or a pants or something that fits you similarly to how you'd like to see the cosplay fit you. And then you can kind of dissect that or use it as an example, even cut your own pattern from that pair of pants. What I found a lot of times is that your pattern could be $20 and your pair of pants could be $5. So to be able to do that, and also because I'm such a hands-on learner, to take it apart and to see the parts and to be able to lay it out, it really helps me. And so another thing that I think is a really helpful thing is to go thrift like sheets and things like that from Joanne so that you can do mock-ups and things. Often your cotton or your cheapest mock-up fabric is still going to be $7 plus a yard, and you can get a good size sheet that's going to give you 3 yards of fabric for like $6. And so for me, I've definitely done a lot of work from thrifted fabric. One of my cosplays that I did, Albus from the slime anime, that time I was reincarnated as a slime, I actually bought a Mardi Gras tunic and I completely
Is the way
stripped.
it's pronounced Albus?
I think it's Albus. It might be Elvis. Albus.
Oh well, I'm writing Albus. You'll know who I'm talking
Okay,
about.
that's fine. She was who I wore in our interview the first time through,
Oh
and
yeah.
I took that whole tunic and I like seam ripped the entire thing and removed all the sequins because I couldn't find fabric that matched what I wanted for it. But I was able to basically cannibalize this shirt that I got like half off at Goodwill or another thrift store, and make all of the portions there where I probably would have paid $20 plus in fabric. So that's a big budget tip that, I mean, even though I'm not a starting out cosplayer, I am still doing that because I am a cheap
I
cosplayer.
mean, hell, even your most experienced cosplayers, who've been doing this for a long time, they made a name for themselves, they have this as a full-blown career, they still sometimes will thrift.
Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Hell, Kamui Cosplay, Yaya Han, they have their own line of fabric. They can like buy at Joann's.
Yeah, totally. Have not gotten there yet.
No.
Joanne's, reach out.
Sponsor. You also do makeup. For example, your Android 21. Advice for someone who wants to wear makeup, like do body paint for the cosplay, whether it's just from the, face to the neck or full-blown body paint like you did for 21.
Yeah, I mean, setting powder is going to be super, super important, like most things are going to tell you, and like any tutorial is going to tell you, setting powder and doing the correct amount of time to bake that setting powder is really going to make a difference in how much it streaks and moves and kind of gets a little fudged up during the day, as well as how much it transfers onto other things and other people, which you always want to be really mindful of. And then just knowing that the body paint that you choose, you want to make sure that it's washable. I use a professional clown makeup for the body paint that I use for Android 21. And another thing that I did to kind of mitigate how much I transfer is that I made pink nylon gloves. So instead of body painting my hands, those are actually gloves that I glue the nails onto, which also makes it so I don't have to continue to buy new sets of nails. So that was really helpful to me. And just being that like I wore that to KomoriCon and it's such a packed space and there's so much to get done during the day, I wanted to be able to like hold
Oh,
my
those
phone.
are okay. I see it now. Okay, those are. I thought you actually.
The first time I wore it, I painted my hand and
Okay.
I was like, never again.
All right. All right. That makes, and I'm sure you can also agree on doing the test to make sure you don't have like a allergic reaction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I knew ahead of time that I wasn't allergic to that makeup, but definitely anytime that you try a new product or that you try something new on your skin, it's helpful to do a little bit at a time, swatch it there, and make sure that you don't have a reaction to it. And for me, I just continuously buy repeats of the same product. So generally, then I know I'm covered. But yeah, doing a makeup test ahead of the con is super helpful for stuff like that too, just so that you know that one, you know the process and you know how long it's going to take you to get into that cosplay, and also you know how it's going to react.
Check that, that checks out. So you've also worn heels for some of your cosplays. Advice for someone who want, whether man or woman, they want to wear heels for a cosplay. What advice would you want to give to someone who wants to wear heels, the boots, stuff like that?
Totally, it's interesting that you bring this up because I was just at an event hosted by the Faustian Spider,
Oh
and they
yeah, that
brought up.
his cosplay thing he was doing at the library a while back.
Yeah, it was really cool, very informative. I really enjoyed it.
I
I met
wish
a
I could I wish
lot
I
of other
could have gone, but I was
cosplayers.
working that day, sadly.
Bummer. But yeah, they actually had another a portion in their slide where they talked about shoes and shoe safety and walking around the convention. If you are a person who wears any sort of like fitness device, or you have your phone in your pocket for a con, you're going to know that you walk like miles, like multiple miles a day, just doing like circles in a convention hall. So having comfortable shoes is definitely something that I think is highly important. I generally am going to wear like my shoes for a cosplay if they're kind of an uncomfortable pair, like heels or like boots. And I'm going to try and get the majority of like my photos taken throughout like the beginning part of the day. And then I will switch into flats or something like that. Because like I said, in a lot of the other questions, I'm there to enjoy the space and to have a good time. And you really, you can really like do some damage to yourself when you wear improper footwear and then you do a lot of physical activity walking around the con. Another thing is I plan specifically for multi-day conventions. I might plan to wear a convention or a cosplay to a convention with heels like on the last day, um, just because then I'm not messing my feet up right out of the gate. My feet are going to be sore, but at least I know they would have been sore no matter what shoes I had on that day. So and I mean, that's probably something that maybe you want to wear them on the first day and get it over with, and that's going to be personal preference. But um, just plan ahead, put a little bit of thought into, you know, how your cosplays are going to make you feel comfort wise.
And I'm sure you can also agree to if you're gonna consider wearing heels for a cosplay, because like going to Komoricon, I seen a lot of crazy heels for some cosplay. And I'm like, oh no,
I
but
can hear the dogs barking.
I'm sure you can agree that break them in like a week or so before the con,
Oh, totally.
so that when you go to the con, your feet aren't blistered to shit. And if they happen to be blistered, I'm sure you can also agree is the bandages, wear socks, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean, ibuprofen and band-aids are a must pack for conventions, as well as earplugs and some like sensory assisters and things like that. Like I sometimes will bring like earmuff headphones and things like that, just kind of to remove myself from my surroundings and get a little bit of a mental break. But yeah, definitely shoes are they're going to be big for like your cosplay, and just kind of knowing your limits too is really important.
Oh, I wholly agree on that. Let's see. Answer that. Answer that. Answer that. Um, I think that should do that. If I forget something, it happens. I always forget to ask certain questions. Um, so out of all the cosplays you've done, what's like been the biggest build cosplay, whether it's you did it yourself or you had like the team help you make it?
I mean, for me, I think that one of the cosplays that kind of started me being like, oh, this is something that I want to have social media for, um, was my present mic cosplay, and building that wig was like such
Yeah.
an undertaking.
The banana wig, as I call it.
Yes, the banana wig, indeed. Yeah, I think that that was a big like turning point for me, where I was kind of starting to put more effort into my cosplays and to kind of take myself a little bit more seriously. And another one would be Marth. I had my very so like one of
Who?
Marth from Fire Emblem, also from Super Smash Brothers. I He was one of my very first cosplays back in like
Is he the one that like with the blue hair and has the sister who looks identical that
yeah,
because
Lucina.
oh yeah, I remember Bird Nerdkale did Lucina.
Yeah, I actually cosplayed together once as her as Lucina and myself as Marth. That was like KomoriCon 18 maybe. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed that cosplay. I built it the very first time in like 2010 or so, and it was like a pair of jeggings and like a whole bunch of hot glue and like a very minimal sewing on like one of those very small children's sewing machines. And I was so proud of it. I wore it to KomoriCon, and I had put like football armor on, like the shoulder pads, and then I just wrapped the cloak like around it so it looked like I had big shoulders, like his pauldrons. And I was so proud of myself. I think I included a picture of that if you want to throw it up here. And then
Yeah, I can definitely. If not, we can definitely add. Let me see if you
oh yeah, edit
actually
it in.
give me.
And then I remade it, and
Oh
I
yeah, I can show right now, and I'll show a bigger picture.
okay, that's the new one. So that's the one I remade in like
Uh,
2019 maybe or so.
oh
And
oh 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 oh. Eh, you can tell this is an old one because of the phone. You can barely see it, but
seriously, and I've got there we go. That's the very first Marth with like
you
my
can tell that's the 2000. You can tell that's the 2010 because of the phone.
yep, the pickle phone. But yeah, that was like my like first
Oh yeah,
real
and then
attempt at like
the
making a
present
cosplay.
mic,
Oh yeah, pickle, or I mean pickle, banana hair.
the banana hair. Jeez, how long did he take?
Present Mike or Marth.
Uh, actually, no, not them. So I gotta ask real quick. Actually, yeah, yeah, who took longer to build between Marth and Present Mike?
So Marth, I actually like speed built. It was for a convention that has been
Oh, you con crunched.
Oh, I did. I built that whole cosplay, like the new one. I think I made like in less than a week of like after work every day. And I know the sword I made in like less than 7 hours between like 2 days. Like it was like split into segments because I had to wait for so much to dry. And then like the paint was drying in my car while I drove up to Portland from here. So that was great. But yeah, that one, I think just in sheer hours, it might have taken less than Present Mike just because Present Mike's hair took, oh my God, I don't even know, probably 48, 72 hours just on like doing the wefts and putting everything on there and struggling because it was the first like big wig build that I did. So I had to like, take parts off and redo them like plenty of times. So
So I want to talk about accessory made for a cosplay because I don't really talk about it enough. I want to talk about an accessory and a prop you made. So did you make Shippo's tail for your Shippo
I
cosplay?
actually did not make that. That's by Zephoria's workshop. You can find them
Oh, I've
on
heard of them.
Instagram too. Yeah, they do some vending and things like that. We were friends like in our younger years and stuff, and we kind of did like a trade for that, I think. But yeah, they made the feet paws and the tail for that, and I have since made some stuff reminiscent of that, but I did not make that one.
So is that so the feet speaking of the feet paws, is that what you were those ones you made for your Inuyasha cosplay? I can't remember the name.
For Koga, so actually I wore some Vibram Five Fingers, which are going to be like those toe shoes, but then I just sprayed them
Ugh,
skin
sorry.
color.
I can't they look so weird. I mean, if you wanted to cosplay like someone barefoot or like, like a Hobbit or Koga.
Totally. I've been struggling with like what to do for like people who don't like, cosplays where they don't wear shoes because there have been a couple over the years where I've been like, gosh, guess I got to wear flip-flops or something, because I want to be able to
I mean,
portray.
I've seen like those things you can put at the bottom of your feet.
Yeah, the little jelly things, those ones are so uncomfortable though. And honestly, I'm a huge supporter of Vibram Five Fingers. I've been wearing them for like probably 15 years or so. And that was just a pair that I had picked up from like Ross or something
And
in bucks. So I Mod
nice.
Podged the whole thing and sprayed skin color.
And I know it's not easy to try to make it look like your actual skin color either.
Oh, I totally just used the tan that I had in my garage already because I decided like 3 or 4 days before the con, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna spray paint these. So that was really like an impulse thing, but I'm happy with how they turned out.
That's good. So you can correct me. I know this is from one of the World Comic Cons, I mean the Medford Comic Con back in the day. Did you make the pizza for, I don't know who this cosplayer is, but I've seen people cosplay her back in the
I
day.
did. That's Sivir from League of Legends in her pizza delivery skin. I did make that, and it was like it's felt. So I must have cut like 4,000 little strips of felt cheese. I remember my like wrist cramping up like horribly the couple days after I made it. And if you see those pictures, probably my most embarrassing portion of cosplay, I walked down the aisle for the cosplay competition, and then I threw that pizza and decapitated a small Mario family. So those pictures that I showed you are like me and then me throwing and then me going, oh, because I like have hit this poor little Mario family.
Mario down, quick, get him a
Yeah.
mushroom.
I was devastated and I just quickly picked my pizza up and like walked off. It was the most
Well, I
embarrassing
mean,
thing I've ever done in cosplay.
it doesn't help.
Did not win that cosplay contest.
It doesn't help like when you have a straight runway and you want to do something cool because you're limited on what you can. I mean, no disrespect against Medford Comic Con at the time. Just I
Oh
know
yeah,
when
they
you're
did a
like,
great job with what they had in the library.
oh yeah, no, it's just never fun if you want to do something big and the next thing you know, oh, there goes a wig. Oh, there goes a pizza prop.
Yeah, flying pizza.
So what's the biggest prop you've done actually?
Um, Gosh, I'm like halfway through a big prop build right now to do like the hydraulic wings, and I just kind of stopped partway through and I gave up.
Oh,
So that's unfinished.
who are the wings for? If you can.
Original Hawk Girl. So that'll be
Oh,
a possible in the future cosplay if I ever pick that thing back
oh man,
up.
if you ever do Hawk Girl, once you get let me know because I want to get a Batman together.
She is like iconic to me, just what I kind of grew up with, and like I
So are you gonna do it where she has the mask like from the Justice League animated
yeah,
series?
yes, the Justice League animated series with the yellow corset, the like full mask. She has like the green pants and like the red
Hmm.
underwear on in that one. And that's just
Oh, okay. So
like
you're okay. Good. You're doing the good version. I mean, no
like the
disrespect
old,
against her.
the one I grew up with. Remember, I'm old, so
Okay, so yeah, her original Justice League one, not like when she was like wearing that yellow jumpsuit in Unlimited, where she like had her hair down and no mask.
yeah, no, I'm not going to do that version. And I am looking to have the mask 3D printed. I tried to make it out of foam, and I just like wasn't happy with it.
Oh
So
no, it's and then you got her nth metal mace.
yeah, I do plan to make that too. I think for builds that I've finished prop wise, I was really happy with how Present Mike's like speaker box turned out. That was something that I struggled to make look really nice, and at the end I was like, well, I'm happy with it, but I don't do a whole ton of prop stuff, honestly.
Is that thing around your neck? That's the speaker
Yeah,
box?
I was super proud of how that turned out.
Jeez, how long? I can't imagine how much like Godfrey glue whatever you used to get that wig just to.
I'm learning from a lot of these really cool wig makers nowadays that are coming out with so many different tutorials and like kind of showing how they do their process. That there are definitely better adhesives to use, but I used Elmer's spray glue for that wig.
That's how much is pretty freaking strong.
And it worked, man. And my hands every day were like gummy. It was like horrible.
Ugh.
But you know what? I'm happy with it and it looks good now. So yeah.
Now
Each their
on.
own.
Fair enough. Now, the cosplays you've done. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Gosh, I've been thinking of redoing Shippo recently, especially after building Koga. It kind of like refired my love for Inuyasha. It was like one of the animes that really like brought me into the fandom back in the day. I like rewatched all of it last year, and I'm sure that that was kind of why I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I want to redo Shippo, and honestly, there's a couple of cosplays that I did like closet cosplays of back in the day that are still on my list that I just haven't quite checked off. One of those is like I'd really like to do a Vocaloid cosplay. I love Vocaloid, and I have yet to do any Vocaloid cosplays that are very serious.
Any Vocaloid character in particular, like Ram, Miku,
I
Hatsune?
like Rin a lot, and when I was younger, I really vibed with Rin, and I think as an older person now, I vibe a lot more with Luca, and so I think I'd like to cosplay her someday. Supersonico too is on the list. I've wanted to cosplay Supersonico for a long time, and um, collect a little bit of their merch and stuff too.
I've seen figures of Supersonico and ooh,
She has less
and
revealing outfits.
I know, but I was introduced to her list revealing ones.
Yeah, and I guess I have like an ever
Oh, okay. So
growing list.
like, so here's like, I can show this one because this is actually a friendly version to show. But yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of her like default outfit, and it is
and
the
that's a really simple
shorts and
outfit,
sweatshirt. Yeah,
the
her
and then
headpiece
the.
is really expensive though if you buy like an official one or like one that someone
I
3D.
mean, you can buy an off-brand one like I'm
Yeah,
using.
I've been considering just like buying a headset and
I mean, white shoes, pink thigh highs, like what looks like, yeah, that's fairly simple.
yeah, she's been on my list for a long time. And I think there's a lot of those cosplays that, if I really put my foot down and said, I'm going to do that for this event, it would probably fall into place, but just hasn't happened yet. It's on the list.
Speaking of Supersonico, it's a question I ask every now and again. So, what are your thoughts and what advice would you want to give if someone under the age of 18 wants to try to cosplay an 18 plus character?
Gosh, that's like a gray area and kind of a hard place
Because
to.
I know I agree it is a gray area.
I mean, I don't want to like discourage anybody, but I think that like when I was younger, I didn't view a lot of what I was putting out there as inappropriate, but then as an older person viewing younger people, um, like I said, I want to be comfortable in the space. And so sometimes, especially just not knowing how old a person is, it's really hard to.
You don't want to be judgy, basically.
Yeah, totally. It's really hard to be um like to make that judgment call for any specific person or for any specific cosplay because there's plenty of 100-year-old people in anime, they're elves or whatever, and they're
And they
gonna
look like they're 8.
yeah. So I think that that's a really hard place
Oh
to
no,
be.
I
But
mean,
that's what the dress codes are for, and I think sometimes like bigger conventions are gonna have dress codes in mind for all age groups. So just be really
oh,
mindful of that.
well, I mean, and not like 18 characters that look skimpy, but like there's also like characters that are, from an 18 plus show, but they're not like revealing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's plenty of cosplays in every direction that you could choose. So I think just like I said in some of the other questions, it's just really about being considerate of the space that
Hmm. Oh yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, they have conventions specifically to dress like
yeah, go to
to
con. Seriously, that's out
go
there for
that
you.
etchy expo, waifu expo. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
say that right now. Disclaimer: if you're under the age of 18, don't look those up yet. You did hear it
Yeah,
from
yeah,
me.
yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. This is a PG-13 plus. This is a PG-13 podcast. I'm just making that disclaimer. Um, Another question. What's that one cosplay? I call him one and Don's like, you did it once, you just didn't like it, or like a friend group wanted you to be part of their cosplay group cosplay, and it's like, okay,
Totally.
I'll do it because you're a friend, but other than that, I'm not really vibing with this character.
Yeah, absolutely. I so a thing that my friends and I do every year for KomoriCon is that we rotate a group cosplay. So one year I'll pick, and then the next year Bird Nerd Kale will pick, and then the year after that Mo will pick, and we just kind of rotate through. And so, a lot of times we can kind of agree on like, okay, that's a cosplay that we all enjoy or that we all watched. But sometimes it's kind of like I'm really interested in this and I'd like you guys to be a part of it. And so some of those have been like, I'm not a huge One Piece fan. I've watched quite a bit of it, but it just wasn't something that vibed with me. So I've done like Robin from One Piece. I made that cosplay. I really enjoyed making it, but I gave it to Bird Nerd Kill when I was done because I was like, I'll never wear this again. And Gosh, let's see. I think I've had a few other ones like that. Like Marth, for instance, I made because originally that one in 2010, we did a Super Smash Brothers group where we had all been Super Smash Brothers characters. And then they asked me to revitalize Marth because they wanted to do a Fire Emblem deal. And I kind of was like, okay, I've never played Fire Emblem, but I know Marth from Super Smash Brothers. So I feel confident in making that. And so I made that cosplay and I've worn it to like 2 events, but honestly, I don't vibe with Fire Emblem, and I get a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, you like Fire Emblem? Like, let's chat about it." And I'm like, I actually don't know anything about Fire Emblem, and so I don't like to be like a poser, I guess. And I'm not saying that you can't cosplay from things that you haven't watched or from fandoms that you're not involved
But
in.
it doesn't hurt to do like a little research just to
It
get
was
an
hard for
idea.
me to tell people like, this is actually from Super Smash Brothers because I could see how excited they were for someone else to
Hmm.
like what they liked, and I just didn't like bursting people's bubbles like all day. And so that's probably why I wouldn't wear that one again. But yeah, there's just a few like that that kind of are something that I won't wear again. Similar to that Sivir one that you pulled up with the pizza. That was my real hair at the time, and now my hair has
Oh,
been much shorter.
yeah, you got Final Fantasy 10 Yuna hair now.
I do right now. It's like super short with like a long rat tail, but at the time that was my real hair, and I don't have like a long ponytail wig for that one. So, and also I don't feel super comfortable with like my stomach hanging out. I'm like not really very fit, so that's just not one that I'm really comfortable in either. So that's probably not going to come back around. But yeah.
That's fair. Um Now what has been your all-time favorite cosplay? Like no matter how many times you've cosplayed it, you'll always want to cosplay because it's a comfort cosplay as I put it.
Oh gosh. So another one that I've redone recently, one that I wore was like my first anime cosplay. That same year that I wore Marth in 2010, I wore Rock Lee, which was like, I found like the parts of it at Goodwill and I like put it all together and I dyed my eyebrows black with mascara on accident and it was a fiasco when I was like,
Trying to get those rectangular eyebrows just
Oh,
right.
totally. But then recently for KomoriCon this last year, I remade that cosplay and revisited it.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember.
wearing it again, I was like, this is it, man. Rockley is it for me. He's my favorite. Here he is on my phone too. Um,
Have you found any mic
just
guys?
fantastic. Any what?
Ha,
My
were
guys.
Might
I did find a Kakashi, and I think they thought I was Might Guy, and I am so happy to be any Kakashi's Might Guy, but at the end of the day, in my heart, I'm Rock Lee.
I mean, you can tell the difference between my guy and Rock Lee. One is the green jumpsuit with like the arm things. The others wears a green jumpsuit and then the vest.
Right, but in Shippuden, Rock Lee wears the vest, and I happen to have boobs, so I also wear the vest, and he's the Shippuden version.
I
So
mean,
they're really hard to tell apart. But like I said, I love Guy too, so I'm happy to portray either character, whichever one makes you happy.
and I know you cosplay both male and female characters, but I know when you're like wanting to cosplay a male character, I know it's not always easy for any female cosplayer to hide a chest when they want to cosplay a male, and not everyone can afford the fake chest, like how
Yeah, there's quite a few cosplayers that have like the full like musculature suit. And I actually was hovering over purchasing one of those on Black Friday. One of the makers that I follow had like a really good sale, and I considered it, but didn't end up purchasing one. But definitely, I haven't done cosplays like male cosplays where like the chest area is out, or else I may consider something like that. But I do generally vibe with male characters more, and in the last couple of years, I've noticed myself cosplaying more female characters than I ever have in the past. And I'm like, oh, I'm maturing, but I think that it's just that I'm going to cosplay who I vibe with regardless of their gender, and I'm going to do my best job to portray that character. So
that's some pretty sound advice, if I'm gonna be honest. Now we've talked about some cosplays that you're wanting to do later down the road. What is your all-time dream cosplay? Is a character you always wanted to cosplay as, but you don't have the time, the budget, or the skill right now to cosplay them?
yeah, I definitely mentioned her earlier. It's going to be Lulu from Final Fantasy X. I This was my favorite Final Fantasy for like the longest time growing up, and it still like holds a really special place in my heart. And I don't know why Lulu just
I mean,
I don't know. She just does it for me. She's so cool. I really want my significant other to cosplay Waka. Yeah, that's the one. That's the dream cosplay,
that's just
baby.
like like I feel like a good chunk of that's easy, but then you got all those belts that are covering.
And I've been kind of like slowly hoarding some belts over time with this cosplay in mind, but I also want to do like the lace embroidery accurately on the bottom. And so I've kind of struggled with how to do that. The Crafts Pajamas recently acquired an embroidery machine, though, as a purchase that we wanted to be able to use for creating stuff for our booth. Thank you, Bird Nerd Kill Cosplay. And
Shout out to Bird Nerd Cal.
yeah, seriously. And so I'm hopeful that that will be something that will help me to portray her accurately.
Luckily, like underneath, I don't know what she's wearing like underneath like the main part, but then she's got the thigh high stockings that
Yeah,
she's
and some
wearing.
of her jewelry is really specific too, and I want to do a good job to kind of do that accurately.
Oh
And
yeah.
I guess another hurdle, a thing that has stopped me from starting this cosplay so many times, is that I would also have to build my husband's cosplay that matches it, and his is like more hard.
Well, I mean, luckily both their outfits are like one or two colors.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's just going to be a big undertaking, and I want to wear it for Fan Expo, and it was going to be something that I would build if we got into that event, and just because we didn't get the lottery, I was like, oh well, I'm
I
kind of
mean,
saving it, I guess, at this point too.
and the best thing is with Lulu, you can just buy a Moogle plushie. With Cody, you would have to like make a Blitz ball because I don't think
Yeah, totally.
they don't sell Blitz balls unless you
I
yeah.
have thought this through so many times, you don't even know. So I've got the blitz ball going up here, but yeah, definitely it's just kind of like a
And
commitment to
then
it.
and then at least with Waka's hair, it's just basically be like President Mike's wig, except for
Yeah, and
this
it's
way,
more
it's
simple, and Cody does not care for wearing wigs, so I thought that I could build it into the bandana. So it's kind of more of a hat situation. So we're hopeful. And then since Waka's hair is like so short on the sides, he would just get like a short haircut. We've thought this whole deal out. It's gonna happen
I
eventually.
mean,
It's just on the list,
let
like
me just
everything
pull it
else.
up for real quick for those who don't know about Waka. And the best thing is Waka has facial hair, so does Cody.
I know he's so
Oh,
stoked.
I forgot
He
about
never gets
his
to do that.
arm guard and pauldron thing.
Yeah, and then like the leg armor is just kind of a little
Well, I mean,
finicky
he's not
too.
luckily he's not wearing any.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's like the weird puffy guard things. I don't know.
I mean, that's basically your standard B-State ROX.
That's exactly what it is. It's their uniform. But eventually, like I said,
Yeah,
it's
and
gonna
then you
happen.
got, and then like getting the fish necklace is easy.
Yeah.
But
There's a
yeah,
lot of little parts that I could put together, but it's just a big commitment.
I
It's
mean,
not gonna happen.
I feel like the hardest one would definitely be the blitz ball.
Yeah, it's gonna be and like the little bumps all over it. I've thought about it quite a bit, but I
It's
think
like
that
it's like a
ball
beach
is
it's
going
like a
to
beach ball, like a small beach ball.
yeah, like somewhere between a beach ball and a volleyball.
It's pretty much what well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, enough of that. We're
We
not
could chat
doing
all day.
we're not geeking out right now. We are cosplay con talking right now. Um, so on to my favorite questions. If I can remember how they go, because it's been a while. Um, cosplay mishaps. Something like a cosplay of yours where it tore, ripped, shattered, broke, snapped. Just anything that could go wrong did go wrong with it.
Hmm. Gosh, I'm sure I have some good stuff for this, but it's like mostly eluding me. I'm sure that I've already buried all of that shame so far into my psyche that I can't think of anything right now. Hmm.
Nothing you can think
Yeah.
of, huh? Can't think of anything?
I mean, I've had some issues with my like wig sliding back and stuff like that, but nothing where it was like the end of the world, really.
Fair enough. Now onto my all-time personal favorite. I call them uh convention horror story slash WTF moments. Something that made you go like, did that actually happen? To like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go this way and avoid you.
This one wasn't specifically at a convention, but I wore a costume to like an outdoor like parade event, and I had a woman like get this close to my face and like accost me because she didn't understand like what I was dressed up as, and I think she was like offended by it. I think she may have also been like inebriated, but she was like screaming at me from like this close, like spitting on me with her words, and like I was just like, oh, this is my costume, and I'm this person, and like I hope that you can see that and still have a good rest of your day, and I just kind of was like shocked by it, and eventually I think she like kind of backed off and just sort of walked away, and the person that she was with was like, come on, I think we should go, and
Go
uh,
home, Karen, you're drunk.
yeah, like I was just like taken aback by it, and like my heart was racing, and I just was like, um a little put off, I guess, that I had gone out into public dressed up, and like so many other people were also dressed
How
up.
dare you have fun? How dare you
Yeah.
have fun and be yourself?
Oh gosh. So that wasn't my favorite thing to ever happen, but definitely like a WTF moment, and like obviously you don't understand what I'm doing, and I think that they just kind of had jumped to conclusion and thought that I was like, I don't know,
It
doing something
happens.
they didn't like.
It happens, and I think people just need to be, it's okay to ask questions, but don't be a dick about it.
It was it was scary for sure, but I lived through it, and my buddies were all ready to throw down, if anything happened. But I appreciated that, and I was just like, well, that happened. Let's go on with our event.
Also, that actually brings me to a good question because I know it's caught a bit, especially when cons have like open bars and everything. It's best to not come to a con while inebriated or on some type of substance.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, like some conventions, like Rogue City Comic Con, or I'm sorry, Rose. Gosh, I'm gonna do that. Hold
RC,
on,
just call it
Rose City.
RCC.
Yeah, yeah, RCC. Um, they actually do have like alcohol there that you can purchase at the event. And they do allow you to like drink that openly there. You can buy something and walk around the
Yeah, you
convention.
can do the same thing at
And
Level
I
Up
think
Expo
that
too.
even if you're not at a convention, just know your limits and be like, be responsible with yourself. Go back to the like to the hotel room, and be in your safe space where it's a space for you, and do those things, but don't come, to a convention floor and
Oh yeah, no.
make the space uncomfortable for people basically.
Definitely know your limit because, no one wants to see a drunk Princess Peach yelling at someone or a stoned Mario. Because like that's just asking for a disaster, whether it's on yourself or to someone else. In my personal opinion, I think never show up to a con inebriated on anything. And I'm sure you can agree with that.
I think everyone should know their limits and operate within those limits.
Exactly. So next one, what has been your all-time favorite convention moment? Like to this day, it's something you'll always remember because it was like the coolest thing ever.
Um, I think that the year that my buddies and I went as the teacher squad, myself as President Mike, my friends as Aizawa and Miss Joke, was my favorite year. And a moment that I really still look back on now was totally after the con. It was like probably even weeks later, KomoriCon had posted their wrap up photos, and there was a picture of us sitting in one of the like viewing halls, and it was just our backs, all of us like taking a break for the day basically. But it was just like so iconic to me to see like just the three of like the back of the three of our heads, like enjoying this like the show or whatever was going on, that we went to go sit down. And I know that we were exhausted and the fronts of our faces were like oh, like
When you're
totally
when you're
like
done when you're hashtag when you're done
yeah,
teaching
like
your kid when you're done
melted.
teaching the kids.
But the picture, yeah, totally. But the picture from the back, like, just looked like so cool. And I just remember seeing it and being like, we did that. That is us. Like, we were there. We rocked it. So that was really cool and like kind of special for me.
Nice. Now on to a question I've been asking for a while for a hot minute now because someone brought it up. What kind of impact has cosplay had on you?
That's a really good question. And I think that it's been kind of like a roller coaster for me, and it's been sort of like a catalyst for me to learn more about myself. And I think that that's a lot of what hobbies end up being for me as an adult, is kind of a way to work through myself and what, I don't know, just being me means. And like I mentioned earlier in the interview, it took me a while to step back and to say, oh, I'm doing this for me. When I get frustrated at a cosplay, like when I'm in the middle of sewing and it's 1 a.m. and I'm like mad, I'm not doing it for someone else, I'm doing it for me. And so I need to like set those boundaries and make those decisions and manage myself as best as I can. And I think that cosplay has just been a tool for me to learn how to do that better. Of course it's fun too, I love that.
I mean, yeah, no, cosplay is always fun. Um, it's another question I asked. It's a question I actually asked. Oh God, who did I ask? I can't. I think I asked. Yeah, it was J. Michael Tatum. I asked at Kumo last year. I asked him this question, and I'm gonna actually probably ask this one during these ones. If you can go back and tell your younger self, "Hey, this is what we're gonna be doing, and we're gonna be enjoying it and stuff like that," what do you think your younger self would say
um
prior to you finding out about cosplay? I mean,
Nerd, no.
nerd.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that my younger self, like pre like middle school, I really was not super aware of cosplay as an option. So I think it wasn't until, gosh, probably like when Naruto was like really big. Like I remember them doing like a marathon, and I
Oh yeah, yeah, I
was like,
remember.
I want to be them. Like I don't want to just watch this, I want to be them. And I think it was like kind of at that point where I was like, oh, this is an option. Like I can, you know, make believe or whatever. And this has just kind of evolved more from that. But yeah, I think that my younger self would, I don't know, be probably pretty jazzed that I am able to do what
And
I
you
do
get to do all
and
these cool
enjoy it.
things.
Yeah, I think that they would be confused but also jazzed.
Well, I mean that's fair. I mean, like we talked about earlier, cosplay has come along so way that even like people who used to make fun of us back in the day are like now they're getting into it and everything.
Yeah, totally. And I think a lot of people are like that with different anime and things like that. And there's a lot of people that got into anime in the last like few years, even my age, that are finally going back and giving things like Naruto and stuff like that a try when they may have like dissed those people in middle school or high school or whatever, teased them because they didn't understand it. And then now they're going back and they're seeing, oh, this did deserve all of the love and praise that it got,
I
and
made
now
fun
I
of
can also
people.
love
I
and
made fun of
enjoy it.
people who like this. Man, I am an asshole.
Yeah, seriously, like, oh my god, I said that, like,
Oh man, maybe I am I the asshole? Am I the
yeah,
problem?
yeah, like Goku is that cool, like,
Oh my God, Piccolo is a better father than Goku.
no, no, no comparison, and I will not argue with you on that.
Um, so last thing, any just last minute advice you'd like to throw out there to those who are listening and are watching this?
I mean, just have fun. Do it because you like to do it. Do it for you, and don't stress over. I don't know, doing it perfectly.
Don't tell me to stress. I'll stress all I want.
Stress as much as you want about doing it perfectly, but no more, no less.
Uh, oh man, and I mean, and I'm sure there have been times when you've been like making cosplays. There's like those times where you've gone like you're making it, you stop, you cry, you cuss. I'm sure like there's like times that where you like
Blood,
you.
sweat, and tears.
I mean, yeah, this cosplay was made with blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of cussing, and a lot
Yeah,
of times just throwing it in the corner and wanting to burn it.
not this one, but plenty of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Um, well, I think that should do it again. Echo, thank you for coming on again. For the take two of this, and then again, also, coming back for cosplay contacts, get to know that cosplayer.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Always. And as always, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.